Hello everyone, it's Lindsay, and today we're back with another faith journaling process video for you guys as we continue to work through this devotional kit from Open Journey. This is the second installment of Take 4. This is Rest. Now I am a week behind. We had our pastor's family and some friends from church over this last weekend, and so as you can imagine, I was deep cleaning my house, and after nearly 2 years of being in school full-time, I had no idea just how much labor that was going to take. So, which, funny enough, kind of ties in with today's study, but I needed to take multiple days to get everything under control. And so I'm a week behind. So this week, this is the last week of July, entering into the first week of August of 2024. We're going to try to get in 1, 2, 3, like 4 Open Journey videos this week is my goal. We need to finish up this kit. We have 2 more weeks of Take 4 Rest, and then we have the Rest word focus card to work on Wednesday, and then we are kicking off the third installment, which is Seek. Seek is now available. I have an unboxing for that next kit. That's the third installment. That will be linked down below for you guys, both the unboxing and the kit. If you want to get a head start on getting that ordered and ready for August, my goal is hopefully towards the end of this week, we will have the first video up for that kit. So that just kind of catches you guys up on what we're doing, what the plan is as we finish up these kits. I am trying to get weekly videos out because I have these study notes for you. So today we're working on week 4 in Rest, and we are looking at Mark 6:31. I am continuing to work in my little mixed media journal that you guys have been seeing week to week, so that's what we're going to be working on today. But let's take a look at the notes. Now remember, these notes are available for you guys as a free PDF download that will be linked down below for you guys. Just know that none of these are my brain notes. These are all compiled from various different places that are much smarter than me, have spent much more time studying God's Word. Those resources can be found at the end of the PDF. Those are hyperlinks, so they'll take you directly to where you can find those resources if you want to just dive in further, take a look at those resources. And I have been able to see how many of you guys are utilizing these, and it makes me excited, and just to see dozens and dozens and dozens of you guys downloading these PDF files. I hope that you're taking the time to read through them and study through them. And I know it's been very helpful for me to put these together. And this is kind of typically what I do in my brain, but now I'm compiling it for you guys. So like past weeks, I think that this week will be really helpful in helping you study this passage. So we're looking at Mark 6:31. I have it written down here from the NASB 95 version, and it says, "And he said to them," that's Jesus, "come away by yourselves to a secluded place and rest a while. For there were many people coming and going, and they did not even have time to eat." So this is Jesus addressing his 12 disciples. They've been out performing miracles, preaching, doing all those things that Jesus was doing during his ministry time. And I absolutely love that this verse and this passage is included in the Bible. Many of us that do ministry work of many different types. I do stuff here that you guys see online, but I also do stuff in the real world, tangible, for my local church, things like that. And if you are somebody who's done ministry work, you know it can be tiring, and it is fulfilling and it is a blessing, but it also can be exhausting. And after going through this, it perfectly tied in with everything that I was doing last week, trying to prepare to have friends over. But also it made me think differently about what I do here. Oftentimes I go. You guys know this summer I've been trying to do like multiple videos a week, putting together study notes, doing all of the things. And I love that. I love that you guys enjoy it. But it never fails. We go for a few months and then I just crash, and I need to take a little bit of a time away, step back, recharge, and then come back. And I always apologize for that, feel guilty about it. I don't like to do it. But after reading this and sitting with this for a little while, I realized that it's needed, and that Jesus had to do the same thing. And he was Jesus. Like, he was doing ministry work. Now, I'm not doing the ministry work that Jesus was doing. But he was doing the work, and even he needed to take a step back, take a break. I love this. And they did not even have time to eat. You guys have no idea how many days I don't eat until dinner time. I've gotten a lot better about that in the last like 6 months to a year. I try to be very intentional about carving out time to have a meal, even when I'm jam packed. This week's gonna be very crazy as I'm trying to get you guys all caught up on videos, but I took some time to work out this morning, ate some breakfast, straightened up some things in my office, and then came to this. And so I'm trying to implement those practices. And another thing that I have experienced that isn't really talked about in the study notes that I have for you guys, but another thing I've experienced is spiritual warfare. Anytime that I am going, full bore into ministry work, we just get attacked. And I never really put two and two together until recently. It's when I am amping up and doing all these things, and it's not about what I'm doing, but trying to share the word of God, even if I'm just in the word more, which is kind of a byproduct of what I'm doing here for you guys. Is it entails me being in the word more. To prepare all of this for you guys, I'm spending more time reading my Bible, looking at the study notes, paying more attention to, I always pay attention to our Sunday sermons, but, trying to see if there's things in there that I can pull out and relate to something that we're going to be talking about through the week. And so I have found this summer especially, I have been in my Bible every day, which isn't always the case in every season. But in some form, I have been in the word every day. And the amount of warfare that is happening in my family right now, just with our home and our finances and health and marriage and parenting, all those areas of my life have been hit. Increasingly so, but especially in the last couple of weeks. I have cried many, many, many nights, just overwhelmed. And I'm realizing there's a correlation between when I'm doing more of this with God's word, the more and more and more spiritual warfare that's happening in my life. And that's just the nature of it. Satan doesn't like us to be coming closer to God and spending more time with him. He doesn't like that. That makes him angry. And he is trying to distract us, pull us away, give us a reason to stop doing that. And I'm trying to faithfully persevere through that in this season, but it's tough. So that brings us to Mark 6:31 and about coming away by yourselves to a secluded place and rest a while. We do need rest at times. So I have pulled together two different articles for you guys from gotquestions.org. This first one, what does the Bible say about busyness or being too busy? This is a really good one and something that I have adjusted in my life years ago and continue to refine, but not getting caught up in the busyness of our day, just all of the activities and things and plans that we have that may pull us away from spending time with the Lord. And so we need to be constantly reevaluating that. As you go through these notes, anywhere that you see a dark, bold purple, those are hyperlinks. So when you're pulling up the PDF, like on your computer, your phone, your tablet, whatever it is, you can tap or click on those and it will take you either to that verse, passage, or another article that you can read that ties in with this. So where it says here, still quiet voice, that's going to be another article on gotquestions.org that you can read. But looking at what does the Bible say about the value of solitude? And this is something, my husband and I try to find balance in. He is somebody who would love to just move into the mountains, live as a hermit, not be around people. But I know that God doesn't call us to do that, but he does call us to go into solitude at times so that we can spend time with him and truly listen to him, hear what he is telling us through his word. And, if he's answering our prayers and things like that. And so I like this down here. It says, the best example is Jesus, who, quote, often withdrew to lonely places and prayed. Luke 5:16. So even Jesus had to step away from the hustle, the bustle, all the people, all the things, to spend time with his Father. And so we see that example through Jesus. It says, Jesus, God incarnate, spent time alone with his Father. We see him seeking out solitude after performing miracles in Mark 1:35, in times of grief, Matthew 14:13, before choosing the 12 apostles, Luke 6:12-13, in his distress in Gethsemane, Luke 22:39-44, and at other times. Solitude was a consistent practice in Jesus's life. And pay attention to some of these times. When he's doing ministry work, when he was performing miracles, there was a time that he needed to step away. I would say that this would even be before you start that ministry work, so that you can truly connect with God, make sure that you're doing what is in his will as you go into that ministry work. In times of grief, Some of us, a coping mechanism for grief might just be inundating ourselves with busyness and people and the hustle and bustle so that we are not truly experiencing that grief. But here we see in Matthew 14:13, and I would encourage you to go and look at these verses. Jesus stepped away and needed some time of solitude in his time of grief. Before choosing the 12 apostles. So he's getting ready to, make his A-team, his team that he's going to go out with. And so he spent some time in solitude before that. And then, of course, in the garden when he was in distress. So when we are in distress, that is a good time to step away, take a moment, spend some time with the Lord in solitude. But this one's very important too. It says, Jesus invited his disciples to share times of solitude, group solitude with him. Then because so many people were coming and going that they did not even have a chance to eat, Mark 6:31, he said to them, come with me by yourselves to a quiet place and get some rest. So they went away by themselves in a boat to a solitary place. I personally equate this with retreats. I have been on many women's retreats, some great, some not so great. I think it depends on, what is the focus? Is the focus on what it's supposed to be? Or is the focus just goofing off, gossiping, drama, which when you get a bunch of ladies, sometimes that can happen. But, here we see not just one person leaving, but a small group going off, removing themselves and having time with the Lord together, a focused time. So I love that example there. And then here, this is the good one for my husband. The practice of solitude, like other religious practices, can be taken to an unhealthy extreme. Solitude is not a place to live. We are not to be hermits or cloister ourselves away from society. However, in order to fully enjoy our relationship with God and to fully participate in godly community, we must have times when we relate with God one-on-one. So yes, we need those moments, but we are not called to permanently be in a place of solitude. If we, the two greatest commandments, love God, love one another. You can love God plenty when you're all by yourself, but you can't fulfill that second part, the love one another, if you are off in the mountains living your hermit life. That is, our purpose here is to be the feet, of the gospel. We are supposed to be taking that to unbelievers. That is our job. That's what we've been tasked with as Christians. And you can't do that when you're living in the mountains by yourself, not, being in relationship with other people. Moving on, I have some notes from the MacArthur Study Bible. Jesus' invitation for a retreat into the desert was restricted to the 12. He knew they needed rest and privacy after their tiring ministry expedition and the continuing press of the people. And this idea of retreating into the desert is going to be kind of our theme for the artwork that we're going to do today, which I will share here in a few minutes. I do have a David Guzik commentary just a little bit here for you guys to check out. And then some cross-references. There was just Matthew 14:13, Mark 3:20, so you can find those there. Those are the cross-references for Mark 6:31. Word study. I have one here. It's so going into a secluded place. So if you want to do a little bit of research into what that actually means in the original language, you can find that there for you. And then don't forget those resources you can kind of continue your study on. So that is what we are looking at today as we go into Mark 6:31. I've had so many people comment, this is a theme that we are seeing not just from Open Journey, but we're seeing it from so many different Bible journaling companies, devotional companies, sermons that are being preached in our churches. I mean, there's something about this topic that God is blasting out across us and wants us to get and understand and really focus on right now. And so, let's take advantage of that. I don't know about you, but sometimes he's got to bash me over the head with it. And I feel like that's what he's doing with this. One thing I was going to note is there is a reference to the story of Mary and Martha. That's what I was referring to with my stuff last week. You have Mary, who is sitting at the feet of Jesus, listening to him, spending time with him. And then Martha, who is being busy, trying to, do all the tasks, get the house clean, get the food ready, doing all the preparatory work because Jesus is in her home. And Jesus reprimands her. Why are you focusing on what isn't important? You should be focusing on sitting at my feet. And so, yes, we are called to take care of our homes, take care of our families. I think that, we see that in Proverbs 31 woman. We do have a responsibility to care for those things, but we should not put those things over the things of the Lord. having fellowship with others, serving God, spending time with God. All those things are far more important than the busyness tasks. And so that, translates into Bible journaling as well. And that's why I find it so important to start my videos with this. We're not starting with art. We start with this because this is the most important thing. Spend our time here. And then if you've done this and then don't have time to do the art, oh well, move on. You did the important part. The art part is the Martha part. That is just the extra, the busyness. The spending time in God's word is the most important part. So there is a look at that study for today. You can find that PDF down below for you guys. But let's move on and take a look at what we'll be creating in response to that, I guess. I'm continuing to work in this fun little notebook here, and I have pulled out a few different things, and I have pulled out some things from past kits. So I do want to make a note, just because I'm using things from past kits, if you don't have those past kits, improvise. Use what you have from this kit. There's plenty in this kit to be able to create pages for all 5 weeks, but I have a lot of backstock of Open Journey product, and for this particular day it's kind of referenced and themed in several of Ingrid's kits. And so I went through my stash and found some pieces from the With You devotional. I believe this was from like some of the packaging from the With You devotional. Now that kit is still available in the shop. There is physical and digital of this kit. This was a Lenten study from either last year or a couple years ago. So I've pulled out, several of the die cut pieces. There is a digital version. So if you want to pick up the digital version and, create your own ephemera pieces or print out your own ephemera pieces, you can do that. But what I mentioned about being in the desert, going into the desert, that is something I kind of equate and I feel like is a theme in my life, that the wilderness, the difficult, the dry, harsh desert, which I live near. I feel like God calls me into that space so that I can listen to him. So that's kind of why I picked that imagery. This piece is from this Rest devotional kit. This is one of the clear sticker images. So we're going to kind of mix and match this kit with past kit. Stamp set. I pulled out this one. This is the Come With Me stamp set. This is from Come With Me and Come With Me Too. So like I said, there's With You, Come With Me Too, Desert Journey. Those are a few of the different kits that kind of are around this similar theme, this idea of going out into the wilderness with Jesus to spend time. So this stamp set, we're going to create a title here. So we're going to mix and match that with the Rest stamp set. And then I pulled out this one just to point out for you guys in case you don't have the digitals for Come With Me. This is the the digitals for With You. This is the With You add-on stamp that has the cactus succulent stamps in there. Walk with God, Desert Journey. I love this little cross texture there. So a really good, stamp set to kind of pair with this. So those are some of the things I pulled out from past kits. We are going to be playing with some stencils and some NeoColor 2 crayons today. This is one of the tickets from the Rest kit. I went and used some pinking shears to add a little bit of detail on there. Ran it through my typewriter, typed out Mark 631, but we are going to still do a couple things to this. So that's just kind of the elements that I pulled together. So let me go ahead, put you guys on fast forward, and we'll put together this entry for Mark 631 for the Rest devotional. All right, so I'm first going in with some NeoColor 2 crayons. I'm going in with this yellow crayon first, dry on dry paper, so just like a crayon. And this is to tie in the yellow from the clear sticker that's going to be on the left-hand side of the page. So I'm going to take a wet paintbrush and activate that yellow NeoColor 2 crayon. This turns it into like a thick watercolor paint. And I'm going to leave it wet. And then I'm going to dip my other crayons in my cup of water. And then also by scribbling them into that wet yellow color, it's activating the pigment from the crayon. And you're just getting lots of different textures. So I'm going in with a little bit of lemon yellow, light olive, beige, just to kind of pull in the colors that I saw in the clear sticker. And then for splatters, I'm going in with saffron. I'm adding that to a stamp block. You could use any kind of surface, activating it with water, and then picking that paint up with my pipette. I know this whole month you guys have just seen lots of the same techniques over and over, but I want to show you, you can stick with tried and true, and these journaling pages don't take very long when you do that. So made sure that that saffron paint was good and dry. And then now I'm going to do some stamping again with a stencil. And I'm showing you that lattice work on the stump on the left-hand side has a lot more line work than this trellis stencil that I am going to end up using. So I want just a little bit of this English red color that I'm adding now. So I chose the trellis because it has less line work than that lattice work stencil. So that's, I was just kind of showing you, depending on the stencil that you pick, it's going to give you different results when you do this technique. So I'm picking up some of that wet English red crayon with the stencil and then stamping it down onto my page. And I'm just kind of, lightly pressing it here and there. If you've been watching these videos this month, then you know I've had some stencils that worked and some that didn't. And I have found that these ones like this, where it's a lot more line work, not a lot of detail, more like repetitive pattern, seems to work better for this technique. So now everything is dry and we can start clustering and laying down all our elements to get a feel for where we want everything. So once I know where that clear sticker is going to fit best, I'm going to hold it down, cut away some of the backer sheet, and then create kind of a hinge here. That way I can make sure that large sticker is exactly where I want it. And because I used the clear or translucent version, you can see that stenciling coming up through the sticker. And then that way it's all seamless. It looks like that girl image was actually painted on the page, but I didn't. Ingrid's far more talented than I am when it comes to those kind of images. So she did all the work and then I get to pretend like I did it in my journal. Thank you, Ingrid. So I'm using liquid adhesive to adhere down all of these pieces. Remember those black and white ones are from the With You devotional kit, as well as that cluster that was from the packaging. And now I'm going to stamp the verse address on this ticket card. So I have 631 using the worn text stamps from Tim Holtz. And I'm going to stamp these with some NeoColor 2 crayons. So this is kind of finicky, and you want to play with this maybe on a scratch piece of paper to get a feel for the right amount of water, right amount of pigment, the consistency of the paint that works best for stamping, because you saw at first it was just too wet, so I wiped it off and tried again. But I'm going in with English red and stamping that down, and then I'm using the dot on the bottom of the question mark to make my colon for the verse address there. And I initially thought I would stamp the book title mark over across the top of the 631. That's why I stamped in a color versus in, black. But I realized these little wood stamps were too small. It wasn't going to give the effect that I wanted it to. So I'm stamping these kind of off to the side in some VersaFine Onyx Black ink. I have a similar wood stamp linked down below for you guys, or set of wood stamps, I should say. So now we're going to fill in this little cluster on the right-hand side. Again, this is all die cuts from that With You devotional series. And there is a digital option if you want to do that and then print out your own die cuts. I love the colors of those. I love her kind of desert imagery that she's done in her kits. It's just really pretty. And you can see, don't be afraid to cut things apart and manipulate it so it fits in your cluster how you want. I saw that white floral piece on the right-hand side was going to cover too much of the ticket, so I manipulated it so that it would fit a little bit better in that cluster. And now we're going to stamp kind of our title, per se, on the left-hand side. So I'm pulling out that Come With Me stamp set, and we're going to load up that phrase, Come With Me, and then we're going to layer that over the top of Rest or Reset in Prayer. Now, I want this Rest in Prayer piece to be, fairly close to the girl. So I'm actually going to stamp that first and then Come With Me. That way I make sure that I'm, right where I want to be on the page. If I started from the top and worked down, I may not have been in the position that I kind of had envisioned in my brain, if that makes sense. I'm just a little bit particular about things like that. So again, I'm stamping in that VersaFine Onyx Black ink. And off camera, I went ahead and wrote out my prayer, and that's it. Pretty simple today, but really love how it came out. Lots of layers, lots of bright colors, and really didn't take much effort to create this layout. So if you have any questions or comments, be sure to leave those down below. Check out that description box for links to everything that I mentioned or used. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to my channel if you're not already subscribed. And until next time, thank you so much. Bye-bye.